おはようございます。すみません、日本語が話しません。I'm Scott, so thank you for coming. So today we'll be learning about automated evals. I'm the PM of, or product manager of our Weave product. So I'll give a quick intro, I'll go through some slides, and then we'll run some code. And I have my colleague Adrian here and some of my friends, Yuya, and some other people that will be helping us run some code. So if there's any issues, we can walk through them together and fix them. Cool. So yeah, I've been working for Weights and Biases for 4 years. Before that, I was a machine learning engineer for 2. And since joining Weights and Biases, I've been the product manager of our product Weave, which is around building with AI. So our other product models is for training neural networks. So teams like OpenAI or Meta, when they're training their big LLMs, they use models to track their training. Weave is for teams that are using these models. So LLMs, LLM APIs. So if I'm speaking too fast, please say slow down, or if it's hard to understand. So I'm from Dublin in Ireland, so in Europe. So my accent might be a little bit different to American accents or something like that. So yeah, we started Weave because these models, these APIs are really, really good and useful for building AI applications. It's much easier to get started with an LLM and a prompt than training a neural network using GPUs and that. So much easier to get started and really, really valuable. Maybe just so I know who the level of experience is in the audience, who has used an LLM API like OpenAI or something like that? Okay, so most people. Who here is like a software developer but learned AI recently, like in the last 2-3 years? Okay, so who has a data science background? Okay. Any product managers or domain experts? Yeah. Any leadership, like CEO, CTO, that kind of? Okay. Nice. So mostly people like Weave kind of users. So you would use an LLM API. Who has apps that are being used by users today? Okay, so not many. So who has prototypes, demos, internal demos? Okay. What about have you used them? Maybe for those that have demos, would anyone be comfortable to explain why it's still a demo? Why it's not in users' hands? Anyone fancy explaining their project? Their demo? Come on, someone help me.
Sure.
Okay.
I just built a quick ASR speech-to-text app for quick typing, basically.
Okay.
Which is only using open source type of LLMs.
Okay, so you built a speech recognition or text recognition?
Yes, the speech recognition.
Speech recognition. And why is it still a demo? What's the next step to get it in users' hands?
Having my license gateway ready for people to have it without.
Okay, so tech.
With restriction, yeah.
Okay. Does anyone else have an app a demo project that they want to describe? And oh, nice. I can stop shouting now. Anybody else have a demo project that they feel comfortable to talk about?
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's a spoken AI agent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm using the dual agent framework. from OpenAI. And yeah, on the front end, it uses real-time API,
Okay.
which is speech-based like natural conversation. And on the back end, it orchestrates with the like deeper reasoning agent.
Okay.
So both of them.
So a multi-agent app. Cool.
Yes.
And are you? Why is it still a demo? Why isn't it in users' hands yet?
Oh, yeah, because I'm in applied research team, so it's a kind of proof of concept,
Okay.
which hopefully, if it goes well, can go to the production.
Okay. Anybody else? One more. Okay.
I've been a prototype VLM. Well, that's kind of like a project which you got some sports videos and try to get the captions on what's happening in
Cool.
in the video, just like broadcasting like someone commentary, and it's still a demo.
It's still a demo.
It's still a demo. It's sometimes you just feel that commentary is still not quite
It's
right.
not perfect.
Yeah, it's not perfect. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, that's a great segue to, so today's talk is about, oh, this is very loud. Is it too loud? No. A little loud?
Maybe move it lower.
Can I move it lower? Not really. This is a little bit too loud. Can I turn it down? It's just a bit loud. I just don't want to be blowing people's ears off. Okay, I can just hold it here for now. So the purpose of today's talk is to talk about evals, evaluations, which I'll just use evals and evaluations because it's the lingo, but I mean evaluations. And the whole purpose of evaluations is to have a systematic way of testing your apps and hopefully defining some criteria to say, okay, this is good, this is better, we can go beyond a demo. So we see the most successful teams that are able to get apps into production are using evals or evaluations. But the hardest part is these evaluations are really hard to do because they're a big lift. People think, oh, it's really hard to build evaluations because I don't know how to test my app. I don't know what good looks like. So hopefully this session will give you a way to go from zero, no evals for your proof of concept, to a number that says like, if this number is 80%, we think it's good enough for production. So that's the goal. 0, oh, maybe it's not very good, to 80%, we can go to production. And in the meantime, we'll learn about some tools. So we'll learn, I have a basic app in a thing called Marimo, which is a notebook tool. We'll learn how to call OpenAI, and we'll learn about some of the tools that we have in Weave that will help you debug and evaluate agents. Okay, so I'm gonna run through some slides to give the core kind of philosophy here, but I'll stop and like ask some questions. Bear with me. Slideshow. And I've got a clicker. Does the clicker work? Yes. Is this turned on? Yeah, this is turned on now. Perfect. Thank you. Nice. Okay. So we're going to go through what are evaluations, how they work, and then we're going to jump into the code part. But if anyone has any questions, I really don't want to be talking for 3 hours. So if anyone can interrupt and ask questions, that would be great. I think if you don't understand, because I'm speaking too fast or I didn't explain something, somebody else probably doesn't understand as well. It was probably my fault. So this is the purpose of this talk. So has anyone heard the term vibes? It means like, oh, it's kind of good. It's like very vague. Oh, it's like a really vague hard to precise way to describe whether something is good or bad. So you would go to a party and you were like, oh, the vibes at the party were good. Means like, yeah, everyone was in good humor. But in AI, vibes means I talked to the AI and I said, oh, the vibes are good. But it's not very formal. But people use vibes to ship AI. They think, oh, I spoke to it 5 times and the responses looked kind of better, but very not precise. So if you don't tie your vibes to a metric or to some number, everyone can have different opinions and you don't really know if it's getting better or worse. It's very hard to compare vibes. This some vague idea of good versus someone else's idea of good, it's not comparable. So it means that you don't iterate very quickly. And the key to AI is iteration speed. So it's how many times can you update your prompt before it's really good? How many different types of tools can you test? And the teams that really build production apps using AI iterate every day. They try something new. And if you're only able to iterate every week or every month, it's because you're testing by vibes, your app won't make it to production. That's what I think I've seen. This is a slide by OpenAI, but something wrong with those. Is it my thing? No. So OpenAI show that there's different ways to optimize your app. So you can do optimize the LLM, maybe do fine tuning or prompt engineering, or you can optimize the context. So what do you show the LLM? That's RAG, maybe fancy RAG techniques. And what you want is to try different things and get better and better and better. So you're either optimizing the LLM or you're optimizing the context, and it's kind of improving, hill climbing, kind of going better, 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 better. In this example, they have a basic prompt, then they have few shot prompts. Anybody want to help me explain what few shot is? Do people know what few shot means?
Give some examples.
Give some examples to the AI. Yeah. Thank you. What about simple retrieval? Anybody want to help me explain that? What retrieval means? Yeah, nice. So searching documents and putting them in the LLM prompt. Fine tuning, it's quite complicated, but like updating the model is what fine tuning is. I don't know what hide retrieval and fact checking step is, but I think it's more complicated retrieval. And then add RAG to content to training examples. So this is improving the retrieval. So each experiment gradually improves this app. So this is Mercari, one of our customers. And Theo says, iterating quickly is the key to success. Within minutes, we can see exactly what's happening. We can make a decision and move forward. So Theo and the Mercari team have been able to ship a lot of AI apps because this is the approach that they take to AI development. So there's this concept of online versus offline. Anybody know what that means? No? So offline evaluations is a fixed data set of examples, and you test against the data set. Online is users are arriving and you're testing against new data. So it's like production versus pre-production. Offline meaning pre-production, online meaning production. Does that make sense? Anybody have any questions about that? So offline is good because you have a fixed data set that's all good.
Yeah, all good. Yeah, I'm doing something on the screen.
Okay, thanks. So yes, offline is stable, repeatable, fixed, and comparable. Online is what's actually happening. What are our users actually doing? So both are useful, and you should do both. Today we'll mostly talk about offline, but I'll show online too. So this is what evaluations is in like simple terms. You have some examples, you put them through your app and get some responses. You grade those responses, good, bad, and then you look at those grades. That's it. But you can get more sophisticated for each step. You can get more examples, very diverse examples. You can do manual, so good, bad, this is bad, versus an LLM judge or something automated. And then there's error analysis. Simple, look at your examples. More complicated, you can do clustering or searching, or you can get really complicated for error analysis. So our theory is to start simple for everything. A few examples, manual, automated, or manual tests, look at your data. So start simple. But if you want, you can get more complicated. But starting simple is what we're going to focus on today, because most apps, you have zero, so you need to start somewhere. And people think, oh, it's so complicated. I need automated evals with an LLM judge, and I need 100 examples. But it's like, no, start at 10 examples and just look at your data. Okay, so this is where most people are. They have no examples of real user input. They have no way to automatically score or grade because they don't know what good is. So they can't compare. So that's kind of the base level where pretty much everyone is. So don't feel, oh, I wish I had evals. Everyone, it's the whole industry right now. There's very few people that are doing this really well. And I believe what we have, I believe because we're building tools for evals, we do know what the best teams are doing. And we're trying to build tools to make it a bit easier for teams to get started. I think that's kind of our mission right now is people are not doing evals well. So how can we build tools to help people? So the first thing to do is to use @Weave, which is to capture user examples. This is tracing with Weave. And what this does is you put it on a function and it tracks the inputs and outputs. So what did the user say? What did my model say back? Any questions on tracing? Does that make sense? We'll look at code, but anyone have any questions? Okay. Still, vibes, so hard to compare, but better. So the issue here is it's slow. So this slide, it takes a little bit to understand, but it is what we're going to focus on today, where the way to start doing evals is to write notes first. This is bad because the model responded in this way. So describe it in words. Why is it bad? Get domain experts, so people who understand the task. This is bad because the scientific, in a drug discovery, this is not the correct sequence that it should have generated for XYZ reason. Or the model called the wrong tool. Or, so just describe the error in words. And what that does is it gets you in the, you just start looking at examples and describing why is it bad. And then you take those Japanese or English descriptions and you categorize them. This was an irrelevant response. This used the wrong tool. This example, it didn't speak in our brand voice. It was too casual. It wasn't formal enough. Something like this. And then, once you have these categories, choose the most important category. What is it? What's happening the most? What is the biggest error? And try automate that test. So to automate the test, you might have a test to, is it calling the correct tool? You might have a test that, does it use a judge to use an LLM to grade the response? Does it meet this criteria? Any questions on that?
Just to clarify, so far the first observation is by human, right?
Human, yeah.
So far we are only talking about humans.
Human, automate. So categorize your human descriptions of your errors into categories, and then try to automate the detection of that category of error. So does anybody have an example of in their proof of concepts that they always see it going wrong? Like they always see this specific error in your apps that you're building? You mentioned that it wasn't that good earlier. Did you have an example of what types of errors you saw?
Types of errors it's a bit like, well, I think it's more like a capability of LLM, because we're expecting that when you see a sports video, like playing baseball or something, and you would like to like the commentary to like be more real, like a real commentary that says, this pitcher is making good pitch,
Mm-hmm.
and this swing is a good one. But sometimes that's LLM always like it described that the weather is always says the weather is nice, the grass is beautiful.
Yeah. So okay.
So kind of like irrelevant to what we're interested in. It's not wrong, but it's just irrelevant to what's.
That's actually a great example. So maybe just to repeat back, your use case is a sports transcription. So you want to describe a scene. Oh, the pitcher hit the baseball and knocked it out of the park in like really good expressive language.
Yeah.
But the LLM responds, it is a nice sunny day. The baseball is, the man hits the baseball or something boring.
Yeah.
So you want more expressive, interesting responses. And the way you described it is what you would put in your note. So you would say, this response is kind of bland and boring. The weather description is not very relevant. So that's what you would do first. Because what you then want to do is take that information and use it to improve the app. Update the prompt. So if that's your number one issue, okay, great. You don't need any more evals. You know your number one issue is, like, so if all you need is a note that says this is bad because X, Y, Z, you don't need to do any more evals. You know the next thing you need to improve is the prompt. So just change the prompt, test it, look at the responses. Are they starting to improve? Are they starting to not look like the boring language? So maybe it's a capability issue, or maybe it's maybe your prompt is bad, or your retrieval could be better. You could show examples. There's things you can do to try and prove it, but finding what's the number one error is what evals are for. Okay. Hopefully I didn't. We can come back and answer questions. I'm going backwards. So with your notes, you can start looking at errors, and then eventually you want to do scoring. And the big goal is that you know what your next step is. So that's the goal. I know my app is bad. This is the number one error. So my next experiment is this. My next experiment is to change my prompt to include examples with expressive descriptions of a baseball game, like in this case. Okay, so that's me preaching my lecture done. So we can run some code now and actually test, see what this looks like. There's plenty to do in this workshop. If you finish early, there's plenty of experiments you can still do, and we'll be around to answer your questions. So if everyone wants to pull up this, I'm going to just so everyone get connected onto the GitHub. You should be able to see. So let's just do this. Yeah, this repo. There's two options. There's running it locally with a thing called Marimo, which unites a little chat app. And then there's the running in Google Colab. This is easier, but this is more fun. So there's your options. Easier, I don't want the stress. More fun, but more stress. Okay. So I'm just giving you a second to set that up. Okay, have people been able to go to the collab or to go to this link? Yeah? So you go here, and you want to clone this repo. Let's do option one. I'm going to do the more fun option, but I'll just show you option one in case people haven't seen Google Colab before. Question, how many people have used Google Colab? Pretty much everyone, but for those that haven't, bear with me, I'll explain. So this is a notebook, which is code plus text. And to run the code, you press play. And the only other thing is you need to set a secret. So you need to click this secrets button. and you need to type in this. So it looks like that. OpenAI underscore API underscore key in all caps. And then you type in the key, and the key is in the Notion document. Adrian, yeah.
How do I find the Notion document again?
The Notion document, how do you find it? You scan the QR code. You should have already scanned. This is my colleague or boss, depending, and he didn't find the Notion document. That's Adrian, head of Weave. Okay, so yeah. So if you have done it correctly,
I tried to clone the repo, but it's not found. Is there a typo of the repo link?
What's not found?
The repo, the repository.
In here. So if you click this is the link. If you click that,
Right.
it goes to this.
Yeah, and then there is the clone, the option 2. Sorry, in that GitHub page.
Oh, you think this is it? This might be it?
Yeah.
Eval.
This one's not
There's
found.
missing S in
It's missing an S. Okay, and I'm gonna do it. Fix it live. Cursor.
I would just do this.
I am sure. Oh,
Just go to drop down and it'll be.
no. Okay. I thought I clicked that. Okay, eval. No, what was where is the S?
ELS.
Evals.
Evals. Damn it. Okay, and then the evals. Sorry about that. Git add, git commit, git push. Okay, that should be, if you refresh, that should work now. So I'll do it here. So option 1, for those doing option 1, where has it gone? If you click play here, you need a tick. If you get a tick, that should work. And then this is just text. You can read it if you want, but I will just want to show this part here. So you press play and press play. And it's successful if it you have to log in. So to log in, you click this link. So the one that says authorize. Press authorize. Sign in. Nope. So you should see this page when you click it. And then this is your one, that's your weights and biases API key. You copy that and you go into the Colab and you paste it there. And press enter. And it should say you're now signed in as your user. So this is setting up OpenAI. This is setting up weights and biases within Google Colab. Question from Adrian.
Scott, should I be changing the team name from WandDB?
That is a great point. So this team name is my team name, but your team name is whatever your team name is. So when you set up your account, you will choose a team name, and I'll show you where to get that. You can get it from here, and it's this name here. So, but it should be, yeah, in your account. I'm in 133 teams. Any other questions, Adrian? No? Okay. So it's actually setting, this is probably the hardest part, is getting everyone set up to run the code. It's the most boring part as well. So if anybody has any issues, please ask. So you need your API key, and you need to have signed in.
What if I don't have a weights and biases account?
You have to create a weights and biases account. They're free to create. You should be put into some sort of a trial or something like that. So,
It's like an interesting one.
sorry, one second. There's an issue in one of the collabs because one of the models is not working. So I'll just show you how to fix that. 1 second. So if you see an issue that says Kimi K2 or API request succeeded or something like this,
Yeah, so
it's, where does it go? Kimi. Yeah, so in some examples, I'm using Kimi K2, which is a model hosted on our inference service, so .ai/inference. So we have a bunch of different models hosted. So like OpenAI has GPT-5 and GPT-5 Nano and things like that. We host some open models like Qwen and Kimi and what are the other models? OpenAI OSS, some of the Llama models. It's just easy to get started. It means you don't need an API key. These models are really, really good, actually. They vary in price and performance. So there's cheap, fast models. There's really smart, good, like more expensive models, like OpenAI. But it's all open. So it looks like Kimi is not behaving today. I don't know why. I think there's some issue. So if you need to change that, all you need to do is change the model name. So Adrian, do you know what models are behaving well today?
I think OpenPipe Qwen 3.14b Instruct is a pretty reliable model.
Lovely name. This OpenPipe Qwen 3.14b Instruct. Household family name. That you just copy the thing and paste it in here, and then run it. That's not fine. That's because I haven't run the cells. But anywhere it says Kimi, you can just change this string here. Should be the new URL. This is because I haven't not run on my cells yet. File run.
Hang on.
Okay. So I'm going to run option 2 now for people, if anyone wants to try use option 2. This is the one that runs locally and uses Marimo, which is a cool notebooking tool that I'm obsessed with. So first thing you do is you git clone. So git clone the name of the repo. Then that will download the repo, and you can, what was it again? Evals Tokyo. I'll just do it. So, where's it gone? So go to this link. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to run that. And then I'm going to change directory and be in the evals Tokyo link. And then I'm going to open cursor, which is my IDE, and render the notebook or the README. And then going to install UV. UV is like pip, if anyone, or it's kind of like a mix between pip and VM, or like virtual environment management. But what's fun about it is it's very fast, and it means there's always like a class of bugs that are like dependency. It's just like the most annoying thing with Python, where there's like 5 different versions and they all, like UV kind of solves a bunch of those issues I found. So if I'm using pip and it's not working, I'll just try UV and it tends to work. So you have to install UV, and you'll know it's installed if you can just type UV and see this. So to install it, you do this. And then from within your terminal, oh, I'll zoom in. Can everyone see that? So then to deactivate. So it should look like this, and then you do UVVM. That creates a virtual environment, which is where we're going to install our stuff. But you need to activate that. So you press this, and then you'll know you're in your virtual environment if you see this thing over here. Or, yeah. And then we just do UV pip install. So do that. And what that will do is it will install OpenAI, Weave, and a bunch of different things. That's using this. So it just installs these things. And Marimo, 1DB. Okay. And then the final thing is to check Marimo is installed, which that is now installed. And then all we do is Marimo edit speedrun evals.py, and it will open up a notebook. I'll give a quick pitch for Marimo. Like why did I choose Marimo over Jupyter? The only difference is that in Jupyter you have to run every cell. So if you change something, you have to run the other cells. In Marimo, everything's connected. So if you change something up here, it updates all of the other cells. And what it's really cool for is you can build widgets. So you can build like data science, a little slider that changes the distribution, or it's such a cool tool. I'm kind of obsessed with it, but for this example, it's useful because I have this little chat app. So here's a widget. So I'm just going to type my team name, press enter, and then you see it ran all the cells. So it's handy to build little interactivity into your apps. And you can go from code mode to this, like, click this button, and it goes into like app mode. And app mode is basically just shows you your apps. So I have my little thing, and in this app I can chat to my agent. So I can say like, hello. Oh yes, love that. Okay. Why is my OpenAI key not set? Okay.
Scott, do you have a .env file in there?
I think I need to create a .env file. I think I'm going to do it right now. So I'm going to go into Cursor. I'm just going to copy my old one, and I'm going to share it somewhere. Ecosystem. VM, and then I want speedrun evals. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you need this, which is a .m file. So I'm going to do that. Cursor, and then in Cursor, I'm going to create a new file called .m.env, and then you do OpenAI equals your, and then your key. And now I'm going to have to purge my key, which is unfortunate because I use that key a lot. Okay, so now I should be able to run Marimo edit. And I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to go to app mode. I'm going to type in my team name. And now I'm going to say hello to my agent. And it should respond to me here. It's a bit slow because it doesn't stream the response. No way. Not this slow. The demo gods are not good today. What did I do to the demo gods to deserve this? Okay, why is that not working? Could not find. So this is running. I'm going to stop that. So it seems like, oh yeah, here, okay. It is working now. Yes, okay. Okay, so it did eventually work. It figured itself out. So I'll just show what that looks like, because it's kind of cool. So I have a chat app in my notebook, and I can talk to my agent. So this is my first like vibe test, my agent interface. And what's nice is I have a custom interface here. I've got this little like chat box that I can talk to. Hey, welcome to Tech Shop Electronics. So this is like the use case. I'm building a customer support bot that can look up invoices. What else can it do? It can check refunds, and it can give status of your orders. So it has a few tools that it can call that are connected to my chat, to my customer support bot or my database and stuff. It's a complete demo example. It's all fake data, fake example, but I think it's like minimally like a real use case. So if you actually wanted to build a customer support bot, this code is kind of what you would write. So I have these custom prompts that I can send. So every time I change my prompt, my system prompt, I can do a quick check. I can say, okay, check on order this, and it will go off and do its thing, and if I want, I can look at the link in Weave. So here's the link in Weave. So every time I talk to my agent, I track it in Weave. So here's my chat. So I said, this is the system prompt. You're a helpful service agent for Tech Shop Electronics. Be friendly and professional. Use tools to look up specific information when needed. I said, hello, here's the response I got. It seems that I sent it 3 times. I don't know what happened there. And then, can you check order 6789? And it looks up the order with a tool. Here's that tool. So it calls this tool, says look up order, blah, blah, blah. And then here's the response. It says that is not found in our system. So it seems like there was some issue with my database. And then the full chat response, which is down here. It says, I'm sorry, it looks like order is not showing up right now, blah, 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 blah. So you can see the tool call, the response, and the final message that the user saw. If I go back. So just to do that again, I can do this, check warranty for my order. And I think the lesson here is build little interfaces for your apps so that you can test them. And make it as easy as possible to test your common examples. So here, and I built a little custom interface that I want to show. So I have a little tool call display here. And I have a little link to view it in Weave. So if I click this link, it goes to Weave, which is kind of fun. And I'll show you how I did that, because it's actually pretty simple. So here's the entirety of my chat interface app. So I built this whole chat interface in like 60 lines of code, and it has a custom response. It has a little tool call render in 60 lines of Python. I have all my examples that show up when I do this. So here's all my little examples. I have this UI widget that is from Marimo. And all I have is this little response function. And the respond function returns how to display the response. So I have the tool call display, which is custom HTML. So really, really flexible. That's what gives me the, I asked Claude Code to do this, by the way. I didn't write that code. Claude Code wrote this code. And that's this. So this little thing is Claude Code wrote this little bit of HTML. And then my link is just in this markdown thing. And what I guess I wanted to get from that is that Marimo is cool and useful for building really quick little apps that are especially useful for vibe testing and quickly chatting with your agents or your AI app. Okay, so now that I have this this way of testing the app, I could talk to it a few times. So I'm going to say, how do I check my warranty? Or I'm going to maybe send another one after that. It's going to be, your service sucks. Where's my order? Okay. I'm happy to check, but it's not showing up in our system. I don't think, it looks like it didn't call a tool here. So that's interesting. And then your service sucks. Where's my order? And let's see what it responds here. And I can go into, if I want to like see what's happening, I can go into Weave and refresh. And you can see all the different turns of my agent. I realize I haven't explained what Weave is yet, so maybe I'll do that. Okay, so this is Weave. What we're looking at now is traces. So traces is that thing that is capturing the inputs and outputs of functions. So I'll show you how to set that up. So in my agent, this is the only line of code that is really Weave. So I just said every time this function gets called, this turn function, track the inputs and outputs, and I just changed the display name so that it was useful for me. I changed it to support agent.turn. That's not really necessary, but I did it. So you could just have Weave, like you could just do this. And then every time that function gets called, you're tracking the inputs, outputs, and it also tracks other functions that are Weave ops, or that have that decorated, and it also tracks LLM calls. So I'll show you what I mean. So I have this call, but if you see here I also have lookup order. I'm going to zoom in. You have lookup order, and I have OpenAI chat completion. So in my turn, it's showing step by step what happened. First, I made an OpenAI call, then I looked up the order, then I responded in an OpenAI call. And the lookup order, these are tools that my agent can call. So they're all tracked with WeaveOp. So now anytime my agent uses the tool lookup order, I'll know now. Okay, the agent called lookup order, here's what it called it with, here's what the response was. So this is just the lesson here is track everything so that you can look at it. Anyone have questions? I know I'm going through a lot. Questions? Come on, someone's got a question. Adrian, softball?
Yeah, why do you think the tool calls aren't working?
Why aren't the tool calls working?
Yeah, I can't get any of my orders looked up.
Well, if you look at the code, you'll see why. Because we've got 3 orders in our system, and this is how it does it. It's pretty dumb. So,
no, well,
but sometimes, so I have been able to get it to sometimes show an order.
Mhm.
So you just have to know the name. You have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll get it to. I'll ask about this. So we'll go to my chat app. So I want to ask about order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Show me the details for my order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it doesn't call the. I think I never updated my prompt to be like, this is the exact way to call orders. So I think I could write a better prompt to make it better. Is that the number one error you're seeing, Adrian, that it's not calling the database well? Or is there more errors that?
Yeah, for example, I inputted my order number with the ORD in the beginning.
Okay.
It doesn't extract the number only part. And it doesn't look.
Oh, so it does. Okay. I think. Okay, so let's try to debug this. This seems like it's not actually calling the tool because it's not showing me the tool call. But I'm gonna debug this live and try fix it. So here is my request. So down here, show me the details for my order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it never called the tool. It might be missing the ORD prefix. Okay, so it seems like there's some issue with the tool calling. I'm gonna go back and see if I can fix it. Orders. So the way it works is it uses this in the prompt. So you just.
Scott, I have a theory.
You have a theory?
Can you flip back to Weave?
Flip back to Weave.
Scroll up in this message thread.
Yep.
Well, it looks like it remembered that it already looked up this order. And
Oh, good theory. Yes, so we're setting the whole context. So I think what I need to do is delete the previous context. So to finish that thought, in my chat, it keeps sending the old responses. So I think I need to do this to clear. Right, I'm just going to check here. Hello. So it seems like there's some weird state in my app.
How do you recommend resetting the history in the Google Colab part?
In the Google Colab part, rerun the cell, rerun the agent declaration cell above it. So you have to create a new agent. Okay, let's check now in Weave with my new call. And did this refresh? No. Okay, so it seems like it's keeping the whole thing around. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna just rerun to fix that, but that was not. Maybe I also need to rerun that every time. Okay, now I'll try this new ORD 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 thing. Okay, so we're going to try and get it to be better at tool calling by editing the prompt. So this is actually most of the time the hard work of building reliable agents. It's finding an example that you want to get working and testing it over and over and over and over again until it works reliably. And like it's not glamorous, but this is it really. And in this case, we just have one example that we want to do well on, but it's fine. Like that, we know that there's like one very important example that it's not doing well on. Yeah, here you go. For some reason, this is never working now, even though this is the exact perfect prompt for this thing to work well on. So I'm going to check why it's not working. Look up order ID, ORD 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we called it with this, ORD dash 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but I think it wants, the function actually doesn't take that. it uses this. So if I get rid of this maybe, and this, I think this will work now because it's going to say word ID. Okay, I'm going to try that. And then next time, hopefully next time now, it'll actually get the order correctly. But the getting tools to be called reliably is like, yeah, I think really painful. I don't know. Does anyone have any examples of? Has anyone tried to build like an agent that calls tools? Anyone's AI apps? Yeah.
It sometimes calls like long through, or sometimes like some information is bit dominant, so that all the time like some of the information comes up and we cannot actually like go deep. I mean, we cannot like find the correct one. So I mean, sometimes it's because of the tool, because sometimes it's because of lag, and it's very difficult.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you see, yeah, you've tried to use tools, but sometimes it calls the wrong tool, or sometimes the retrieval always brings up the same information over and over again. So you're trying to optimize the retrieval, you're trying to optimize the LLM, you update your prompt. So you're like balancing a bunch of things at the same time, and it's like not reliable. So I'm gonna try this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. Come on. Okay, so maybe now the tool call will work.
It finally works when.
It sometimes works?
Yeah.
Okay, it's not good enough, but that's, yeah, I guess expected none type for string. Oof. Okay, so do I give up? Is the next question. Or do I continue to try to do it live? Adrian, do I give up? What's the vibe? Or do I keep trying?
Never give up.
Okay. Okay, well, I'll just try fix this again. So I'm going to try and make this tool call work. Get string order ID is none. That should work. Okay. Kill that. Chat. 1, 2, 3, send. Okay, so I'm gonna send it again. While I do that, I'll give a guide around Weave. A few things that are nice. We track input cost. We track the things like what model were you using. So here, like in here, you can see. You try it at Playground. You can bounce over here, and it'll use the model that you were testing with. And you can be in Weave. You can also set up your different providers. So in Weave, I can like bounce between different models and say like, okay, I want to try OpenAI instead, or the 0301 mini. Hey, and Weave is like kind of oh my god. OpenAI exception, you have information insignificant.
I think they might have taken down 01.
Well then what? Okay. Well, 4.1 nano it is.
Andrew, I think there are too many people access the OpenAI.
They took down oh yeah, okay. They did. So 01 doesn't work apparently. So yeah, you can respond. You can use the Weave playground to test. If you're just editing the prompt, this kind of will work to swap between models.
Yeah.
It's not actually connected to the underlying agent though. So that's why the local widget is better for the real app, and then this is good for just testing the LLM.
Use OpenAI.
Yeah.
So we track the tokens, we track the trace, and what I'm going to show now is just the process of writing some notes. This like first step that I showed over here. This is the part of the vibe, like, okay, we have some idea of where it fails, but I want to test it a bit more systematically. So what I can do is, in my code, I could go through and like try a bunch of different things. So, did this work? No, it seems the same error. Okay, so I'm going to go into Weave and see what the error was again. So yeah, I can try a bunch of things and then go into Weave and start annotating why did it go wrong. Here's my lookup order call. Hey, it worked. So then why did it respond? No, it did work. Okay, so I think we got it to work once. But for some reason, the response, it didn't like continue with like a, hey, I found your product, here's the details of it.
Is that the right
Did you
choice?
see it? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Actually, I was going to ask this question that how in this code are you maintaining the context?
Yeah, okay.
Because one thing I noticed is if you like first tell it to look up for orders and then give the order ID, it kind of misses to connect these multi-terms.
Yeah, I'll show you how I'm doing it. It's pretty dumb the way I'm doing it, but it's like the standard. So I'll show you my agent. So this is the UI code here, but the agent code is this support agent class. I have this one method called turn. It takes a message and it also takes the conversation history. So every time we get a message, we just append the new message and we append the response down here. So that's literally it. So every time there's a turn, it says like, what was the question? What was the response? Store that. And then every time there's a new request, we just append it to the history.
So if there is like a proper maintained history and still it's not working, so it's on the model that it doesn't like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if the model is failing, even though it's getting all the right context, if it's failing to say, based on this context, so either your prompt is bad, like we probably could prompt it better and say something like, make sure you look at the entire history of this conversation, and if the order is mentioned in the beginning, so you need to like describe the behavior in your prompt. And that's like the main thing that we have to be able to control this, or try a better model. Like better models often will do the job, will be better.
Sure. Like another thing I wanna confirm, like how do you recommend to proceed? Like first listing down all the possible errors and then starting to optimize it, or just like keep on optimizing as you see that?
I would say it's like if you think you're wasting your time fixing rare errors, then you should be more disciplined about choosing the most important error to fix. But if you see the same error and over and over again, and it's really obvious that that's the most important error, just fix that one. But I'll show you how. So in Weave, a few things we can do is we can add emojis to just say like good, bad, or custom emojis like what everyone's favorite emoji, the poodle. But the other thing here is you can just add quick notes. So every time I look at a response, I could go, so here. So what was the thing that we wanted to figure out here? It was, I'm sorry for the hassle. How would you like to proceed? Okay, so what was the error here? Show me the details for my order. I can't find the order. Okay, yeah, so the issue here was it didn't call the correct tool, or it kept saying it couldn't find the right order when that order is actually in the system. Okay, so I just wrote some notes and I've stored it in Weave, and just to see that, you can go over here into feedback, and you have all the different notes. So I've got my poodle reaction, and I've got my feedback note. And I just keep doing that. So like, just get in the habit of looking at your responses and writing notes of what worked and what didn't work. So go into my call, show me the detail for my order, and did it call a tool? No, for some reason it didn't call a tool here. Same issue I think as the last one. So if you click on the OpenAI chat, you should see chat here, and this is what makes it look nice. Another thing just to see, in this case I'm using a thread. Threads organizes everything together. So if you have multiple turns between your traces, you can go to threads, and that's it's kind of like the same, but organized multiple different traces. Question, yes.
So regarding feedbacks, like, is there any other ways to add feedback rather than this UI? Like, for instance, like the Python SDK. Because in production, I think we need customers' feedback on that. Right?
Yeah, great. So it's a great question. So first, the answer is yes. We built that feedback weave. So we built the UI to be like really simple. You have a look, write some quick notes, but you often want to include either users or actually really common is your PM or your domain experts. So you're the developer, but you don't really know what good or bad looks like. For example, I was trying to build a Spanish bot to teach me Spanish, but it would respond. It's like, hola, ¿qué tal? And I'd be like, is this a good response? Am I going to end up learning some fake language that doesn't exist because I don't know how to improve this agent? So what I would probably need is a Spanish person to come and read the responses and say, this is bad Spanish. Don't learn from this. So here in the SDK, it's pretty easy. It's like one line of code. So you could do this. So you just do add reaction or add note or add feedback, and that you connect them to like a button in your UI. So I could do that in my Marimo notebook actually. Ooh, I'm really tempted to do it live, but I won't do it live because we will be watching me code for like 20 minutes. I could basically grab this code and put it in a little, so put it here in my response, and I could show a little emoji, and then the users could respond with an emoji, thumb up, and that would attach it to Weave. So it would show up in Weave the exact same way. It would be here in your feedback area. So over here. Okay, and so that's a great question. So I think the distinction there though is users when they're using the app, they're not really in the mode to give good feedback. I feel like they won't say like, this is bad because of X, what they might do a thumbs down maybe, but you really need to find ways to, hey, like educate those users, probably bring them in, give them a dedicated interface, get them to write exactly why it's bad. And it's usually like a PM actually, or like it's someone who in your company is responsible and who knows what good looks like. Finding that taste maker, or like the person who has the person who we all trust is the authority on what good looks like here. That's actually a really big like bottleneck that data science teams or AI product teams like don't do well, is like finding the person that is responsible for the quality and finding ways to get them to edit the prompt, get them to annotate examples, so that it's not just you as the data scientist or you as the app builder that has to write the prompt as well, or has to write down all the failure modes. Because you probably don't know in many cases, because you're not really the expert. Is that true? Maybe question, is anybody here working on an app that they're not an expert in, but they're trying to build an app for? You've got a hand there, hand. That's like another hand. Okay, so that's actually quite high. So you're trying to build an AI app, and you're looking at the responses, and you're like, this kind of looks good, I think, but I don't know because I'm not an expert. I need a PhD to be an expert, or something like that. So that's where actually Marimo is really good, because you can build little labeling interfaces. This guy, Mo label. Yeah, where's the code? There's this video, this guy Vincent. Thank you. Oh nice, I've got an official tag now. So if you go to MoLabel, this is like a widget you can build in Marimo. And it's like a pretty custom interface for doing labeling. And this is the thing you would send to your domain expert. You would say, hey, I have like 20 responses from my AI. Can you add some notes, add some feedback, and then look at those responses from that person. Okay. So that is manual evaluation. How are we doing for time? Halfway through. Question.
I noticed like when you want to trace something, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like a week, so then you get in and out.
Yeah.
All the time. But in production, we mostly use indexing, which is like comparable. Will you able to trace that everything and then put it in the
Yes. So the question is, can I trace in production as well? And the answer is yes. So Weave is built to never, so we've built a bunch of production features to make it easy to do that. We can handle scale. We never block the process. We'll never crash your code. And we'll track the inputs, outputs. A lot of teams, the issue is data sensitivity. So you can do things like custom deployments and secure things like this. But we have other SDKs as well. We have a TypeScript SDK. So you can use Weave in JavaScript applications. The answer is yes, you should try. A lot of teams struggle to get observability in production like Weave because of like data privacy and stuff. But if you can get over those hurdles, it is great, because then it means you're capturing exactly what users are doing, and you're able to grab their feedback, and it's all tracked in the same system. You're doing your own testing. Yeah, good question. Anyone else have a question?
Can this be like fully self-hosted, or need you?
Yes. Yeah, we have different deployment types. The easiest is a thing called dedicated, which is where we'll have a, forgive me, my engineering talent here is failing me, but basically we'll have like a dedicated AWS region or whatever for you that you only have access to. So you don't have to manage it. You can just press like deploy, but it'll be deployed to your AWS or GCP or whatever. So you can self-host it, like you can actually boot it in a computer somewhere you own, but that is especially at a certain scale, that gets hard to manage. So teams don't really want to do that. They prefer hands-off, and that's where dedicated is useful, because it means it's yours, you own the infrastructure, but it's easier to deploy and manage. Any other questions?
Back to the earlier when you were talking from vibes to automated evals, and we know how we can use this whole UI and to gather feedback, and how do we from there automate them?
Yeah, okay, so that is the next part of the session, is we'll be talking about going from manual evaluations to automated. But yeah, maybe the segue here is don't try automated until you need to. Teams often go, I never want to do this, it's too complicated, or from day one I need an automated eval. And both are wrong, because there's no LLM in the world that will be able to describe why the baseball team didn't respond in a nice way. Like every LLM judge will say, this is a great response, because you've never said it needs to be really descriptive language. Don't talk about the weather. Those kind of like instructions are really use case specific. So an LLM judge, like, it's just useless. So until you know what good is and you've written it down, don't try automate it. But I'll show you in this. So in Weave, I'm going to go back to my traces, and I'm going to go to the one that has feedback. Where's the one that has feedback? Where is the one that has feedback? This one? Didn't I add feedback? Where's my poodle? Where is my poodle? Adrian, did you know where I put that? Did they put it in a different project?
Yeah, you might be in the wrong project.
Okay, I for some reason can't find this. I might have put it in the wrong project, but maybe it's down here. No. Okay, so I'm just going to add feedback here. So I'm going to add a note. So this one, I'm going to add a note. It seems like this one responded but didn't responded. Called the right tool, but for some reason it didn't respond with a nice message. Okay, so that's that feedback. Has that been added? Yeah. Okay, so next I want to try to categorize my errors into into different categories of errors. So there's did it respond as I described earlier? One common thing is it didn't respond in the company's tone, or it wasn't formal enough. Another example is it called the wrong tool. So that's kind of a capabilities issue. Other examples are the response quality is low, like it hallucinated or made up information. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to categorize my errors. So to do that, I'm using the Weave API, and I just get my feedback notes. So here, if I run this, yeah, cool. So this found I'm just doing a get feedback, and I'm using this. This is kind of like an internal thing, but this is getting all the feedback of my notes, and then I'm just adding it here. So now I have all the notes that I've added or that my users have added, and I'm going to use an LLM to categorize my errors, because it takes a lot of time to go through and categorize them. This is actually a pretty good job for an LLM. So all I do here is I say, here's my prompt. It says, you are an expert qualitative research. You're an expert at qualitative research. Help me move. There's a typo. Help me move from open coding, where open coding is manual notes, so individual observations, to axial coding, where axial coding is from the world of qualitative research. They have this concept of axial versus open coding. But this is converted to categories. So this is just a nice little perfect prompt to do this exact categorization task. But like I could have written it just like, hey, categorize my errors, please. But I prefer this like very scientific prompt because I just thought it was fun. But I then just throw my notes in here and I said, please categorize these into failure modes. What are the main categories of errors and how frequently do they occur? So I'm just going to call that. Also tracked with Weave. So I'm going to go into my Weave and see the response because it will be a bit nicer in there. So if it's not there yet, I can refresh. Here's a previous response. I don't know why this one's not working yet. I think it is actually still responding. It's just slow here. Yeah, okay, now it's done. Cool. So here's the response. Adrian's new feature that he added last week, where it shows the input and output here at the top level, which is kind of nice. So it means I can browse the response here, but I'm going to just click on it and why isn't the chat opening, Adrian? Oh, okay, weird. So here's my prompt again, and here's the response. So it says core categories, main failure. First is tool invocation, so it's calling the wrong tools. That was the same error that I saw, and the next one is state misalignment. So some sort of data retrieval issue and state mismatch. So it's actually done a really good job of categorizing my errors. And if I had 50 errors with these notes, it would categorize them for me. And that would be useful for me like as I'm iterating, because I can say, okay, the most important error is the tool calling one, or whichever one the LLM tells me is the most important based on its categorization. And then, okay, so now I have categories. So what do I do then? So now I want to make it easier on the human labeler to spot those categories. So you have categories of errors now, and instead of writing notes, which takes a lot of time, I'm going to give labels in a labeling interface to say, did this error happen? So for example, I'll show how that works. So I'm going to filter down to be my turn. And what you can do in Weave is you can set up little interfaces. So if you click this button over here, you can build little labeling interfaces. So you go in here and press new score and then do the name. So I'm going to say tool call error. And did it call the wrong tool? And it's a Boolean. So I'm creating this human annotation score. And now I have this human annotation thing. So I can go back, and now I have this little labeling interface. Okay, so now what I can do is, as I'm browsing, I can say like, yes, it called the wrong tool, done. So now I know my categories of errors, and I'm building a quick way for me to find them. And either I give them to the domain expert, or I give them to my PM, and I say, hey PM, I've got this new thing. I know our most important errors are this. when they happen, will you label it that it happened? So that I can start to iterate and compare. So are they still happening? Because the domain expert says like, yeah, the issue is it's describing the weather, or the issue is my recipe bot is giving me bad recipes. It always tells me to use the wrong soy sauce or something, like some stupid issue that is like is really domain specific. So you're now building an interface and you're saying, hey, domain expert, this keeps happening. Is it still happening? Here's my little interface. Okay. Any questions on that? Does that make sense? Has anyone built a labeling UI? Is this a thing that data science people still have to do? Build like little widgets, little labeling interfaces? Anyone? Has anyone here had to build a labeling interface before? Because I feel like everyone does it. It's like the most annoying thing. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5. Yeah, so hopefully this makes it a little bit easier, but I think often you want it to be very custom. So I'm afraid something like Marimo is probably a nice way of building them, but there's no escaping, like a lot of the time these labeling interfaces are a bit of a pain to build, but you kind of have to do it. But hopefully this is easier. So you could even just send your domain expert into Weave. With Weave, seats are free. So you pay on ingest. So you don't need to worry like, I'm going to give Weave to my 20 users internally that I don't want to pay for their seat in Weights and Biases, because you don't have, so we made Weave seats free for this reason, so that you could get your PMs and whoever into Weave and they can do labeling. Okay, so now I have gone from notes, so open coding, to categorize the errors, axial coding. I've now built an interface to make it easy to spot those errors. Now I want to automate the spotting of those errors. So like that's when, if you're finding it slow to get 30 Booleans from your PM or from your domain expert, if that's the slow thing, then automate. But until you get to that point, don't automate. There's like, I'm selling a tool for evals, but I'm like telling you don't do evals until you need to. Because people waste time building LLM judges and whatnot until they really have done this. By the time you've done this, you'll know what good is, you'll know what bad is, you'll know what errors you're trying to reduce. And once you know what errors you're trying to reduce, then, okay, now I want to just reduce them. As soon as I reduce them, I can ship my app. But until you know that, don't try automate the evals, because you're just testing noise. It's just, the number is 72 today. Yesterday it was 64. Who cares? Like, nobody cares. That's like a fail. That's a state that I think we've seen a lot of teams do, is like just have some vanity metric that they don't care about. Oh, it's 65 today. Oh, interesting. How's the weather? Like, it's, yeah. Okay. Anything, Adrian, I haven't touched on or that I should, before I go into automated evals? Anything you want to, any questions, or I don't know, just give me a break. Question?
You said, do teams typically ingest all the data? Like, how do you select the requests that you want to present?
So you can sample. We've made it really easy to sample Weave.
Even if you do sample, you might want to, let's say, select the logically related
the best, yeah.
Also seems like a very semantically difficult to bound these requests.
Yeah. So the question is, if we're tracking production traces, should we track them all, or is there ways to limit the amount we sample? Because we want to get the most interesting or most semantically relevant requests. So my response was that first you can just sample, random sample. That will at least mean you have you're matching the distribution of the responses. But if you want to get the best, the most interesting examples, best idea I can come up top of my head is you have some sort of a LLM judge that knows the criteria that you want to track. It's looking at the responses, and then if you, as it sees it, it sends it to Weave or something. That's something you could do. I would probably say just, I'm incentivized to say, throw it all at Weave. So pay us more, throw it all at Weave, and then find the interesting ones from there. But if you are trying not to log it all for some reason, doing something like that, or is it near to these types of responses or something, using distance. I don't know. That's but the point is you can choose what you track if you want. And the easiest thing would be just throw it all in. Any other questions?
I'm sorry, I was a bit engaged in the code. Where do you actually put the notes in the Weave UI, or if you have extracted the code?
Yeah, okay, I'll show you that. So you can do, there's a few different things. So there's notes is this button. So you just go cool or whatever, and then you've got your note. And now it shows that I wrote that. Or in here, you can do the same over here. Or the thing I showed, the more complicated thing is setting up a labeling UI. That's this button. So, you click that, and then you create what we call a score, which was down here in scores. So you go assets, scores, and then you do new score, and you use a human annotation one.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I also want to understand at what different levels can we use the notes, for example? Do we mostly do it on per call basis, or can we also do per session basis?
Yeah, so it's attached to the call,
Okay.
but you could do it per session. So the way you would just attach it to this turn, but so it's here. But in the API, the API doesn't discriminate. So down here, when I'm pulling the traces, I'm just doing give me all feedback. So here, when I'm using the API, is that readable? I'm just saying weave.getFeedback. So this grabs any feedback to any trace, and I'm just looking at the note here.
Thanks.
Cool. Question?
It totally depends on the use cases, but do you have any ballpark figure for the number of evaluation samples for manual?
Yeah.
Before going to automatic?
Yeah. So it depends. So the question is how many examples is enough? And what I've heard here is I'll say 100, but if you actually care about your app, you'll get addicted to this. This, you'll be oh, I can't get every time I'll do this every day, because you're the person that wants it. The hard part is you need to have that person who really wants this thing to improve, to be doing this all the time. So you as a data scientist, maybe you don't care, because you're oh, whatever, I just want to add a new tool, or look at new agent architectures, and oh, there's a new lang chain, whatever. Maybe you're not that interested in this. So if that's true, find someone who is, and they should do this all the time. But 100 is if you're not addicted after 100, or you're not like, this isn't like where you want to spend your time, maybe you don't care, and maybe no one cares, so don't build the app. Like if no one cares to do this, it's like, okay, nobody actually cares about the quality of this thing, so why are we spending our time on it? You need to find someone who really wants this thing to improve. And I don't know how many, like, I actually should have spent more time on this. I have this at the beginning of the session, is this idea here. So if you can't describe in words your task, this idea of jobs to be done, it's a bit of a skill I've had to learn since becoming a PM, but this is like a real PM term. But so I was like a machine learning, I became a PM. But this is quite a useful way to describe what the job that your application is, your user's trying to do with your app. So you say, when I want to, so you're using user language. You're saying, when I have a question about my order, warranty, or need support, I want to get accurate information quickly without having to wait on hold, so I can resolve my issue and get back to my day. So it's like the problem, or like context, problem statement, or like, the thing you want to do, solution. And in this case, if you're not able to do this, and if improving how accurate or how helpful or how efficient the app is not connected to some business goal, then like don't do the app. Like if the user problem doesn't exist, like someone just made up this problem, like it's your job as the data scientist or as the AI engineer to say like, this is a made up problem, nobody cares about it. We don't need AI here, no one cares. So I'm going to go build something more useful. Like, I would say, if I'm saying like, of the 50% of projects are just a waste of time because no one wanted it. So it's like, figure that out first before you do evals, before you do whatever. And I just think teams don't do this enough. Like, it's your job to do people care. Okay. Any other questions? It's nice to do question answering. Oh yeah.
I have a question about, so we saw how we can collect some feedback, add feedbacks on us.
Yeah.
From the UI. Then you show how you can get them, categorize them, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But regarding like what you do about, regardless of the fact that you want to automate this, the counter action that you can take regarding those results, how do you improve really your chatbot based on this?
Yeah. Okay, that's a good question. And it's something I didn't really touch on because it's like not the focus of what the session, because I'm basically saying here's how you measure, but I'm not really making an opinion on what experiments you should try. But the tools available to you are edit the prompt, which is like do that forever until it stops being valuable. But write a really big prompt. Have you ever read a prompt of like Claude Code or something? You can actually get Claude Code system prompt. There's a repo that has like all of the different system prompts from. But you can actually read these prompts because they just leak. There's another repo. There's like, you can find repos of like every system prompt for all the big apps like Replit, whatever. So write a really big prompt that has your criteria. Then do something like retrieval. So is it looking up the database correctly? Yada, yada, yada. Then from retrieval, like if that's not good enough, then you want to maybe improve your retrieval. Options there are try a bunch of things, but maybe do it, ultimately maybe fine tune the retrieval, the embedding thing. But like that, so that's kind of like one option. And then on the model as well, just like play with a bunch of different models. I think that the what I've heard is try the best model always, and then when you're happy with the quality, try a cheaper, smaller model and see if you can make it work like economically. But like while you're experimenting, like use the GPT-5, like thinking long, whatever best model is available to you. Yeah, so that's kind of like, but it's a bag of tricks. It's experimental. Try a bunch of things.
The assumption here is that whatever you do, you need to reevaluate the system after that.
Yeah.
Just to make it competitive.
Yeah.
But the way you do the evaluation is based on this feedback and those things categorization potentially.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you ensure that this evaluation system is consistent in the way it has the data so that you can compare?
Yeah, so actually I've spent half of the time today talking about manual evaluations going from just text to Boolean pass-fail. And the reason I've done that is because I think that is the most important part, and it's the hardest part because nobody has defined what good is yet. Once that's defined, then you can do automated evals and try a bunch of things. But you as the data scientist can't experiment 10 times if every time you need to send it to a domain expert and get 30 labels. Like, it's just going to be too slow for you. So that's the I think that at that point, you need to automate it, and then you can try all the different things. Like, you can try fancier techniques or different models or whatever. And the way to make sure it's consistent is is your LLM judge consistently giving the same grade? We can go into the LLM judge part. But okay, I'll dive into the LLM judge part, and then we can take more questions. Unless there's any burning questions that someone will. Yeah, one more.
When some domain experts giving a note to the chat history or something like that,
yeah,
it could be happen that the amount of notes, for example, length, varies by person who get a note. It could be a problematic if you summarize any ideas?
Yeah, so the question is we're relying on an LLM to do this categorization. Like, is that really what if the responses vary by domain expert or something? Like, are we losing that information? Yeah, we're probably losing it. If you've got enough signal, your categorization, it will. The goal is to just find the top few categories so you can come up with your next experiment at that early stage. It's like, what's the main issue right now? Tool calling. Okay, cool. I'll fix the tool calling. But yeah, you do lose some. This, using an LLM to do the categorization, is definitely a bit of a just quick solution. Just because categorizing labels just sounds like the most boring thing to spend your time doing. And an LLM's good enough. So that's why I recommend an LLM here. But if you really want, you could go through all of the labels, and I would probably read them all yourself. But then just to do that categorization, it's probably easier to use an LLM. Okay, so now we are going to go to, so I went through this, went through this. Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to do automated evals. And this part is actually surprisingly easy, but I'll go through it. So all you need is a good judge prompt. And this judge prompt is imagine the best PM you've worked with that described the requirements for a project in a really, really good way. And like, I feel like it's never happened in the history of any project where you arrive and there's like one perfect document that says, here's all the things that needed to be good at. And you just have a list of criteria. So, did the agent provide accurate information when looking up orders or warranties? Like, cool, that's one criteria. Were the right tool calls with the correct parameters? Did the response actually solve the customer problem or move them closer to a solution? Was the tone professional and helpful? So, like, this is all the stuff that we've discovered today of like the types of errors that this my crap chatbot makes. So I've just added this in like English that says, here's the type of errors to judge. And then it just returns a response. And I have some examples, including the conversation history. And then this is in Weave, how to run an eval. You just pass in a data set, pass in your judge or judges, doesn't matter. It can be multiple judges. And then where each judge would return n metrics. So like, it doesn't matter. But then you just call evaluate, and the evaluate is the thing you're evaluating. So in this case, I'm evaluating a response from the agent. So I create an agent and I give it a turn. And that's it. So like maybe, if we have an hour left, I don't know what we're going to do with our time because there's not much to this. But I'll show when you run this, it's going to go, so what's happening now is it's going through each request. It's getting a response from one LLM. It's then using another LLM to grade that response based on the criteria. And then when it's finished doing that, it will aggregate the responses or the grades. It will aggregate the grades. So it evaluated my 5 examples, and then it gave me a 4. It's like a 4 out of 5 right. So it's 80%. It also tracks latency just for the sake of it. And I'll go into Weave. So Weave has a separate section for evals over here. And it's just actually a filter on this view. So if you filter down to this, you'll get the same thing. But I'm going over to my eval. I'm going to filter down to my data set. And I can compare my different evals. So I can select 2 and press compare. And now I have a little, it looks like they both got 80%, so not that useful. But I can see a comparison for my 2 experiments. And then I can go into this dataset view and see the responses for both models. So for this row, I have this example question was, what's the status of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? And they both got it right. I'm going to find the example where they got it wrong. Okay, so here's an example where they both got it wrong. And I'm just going to look at the response here. So model output is this. Lookup order, lookup order. This is delayed. What warranty do I have? Expected ship date 2 to 3. So they've responded with that. So why did it give it wrong? I can click into the judge and see why did the judge say it was wrong. It says the agent answered none to to both questions, which is unhelpful. The call to look returned this, but the agent did not reply, relay this information, or clarify the order is actually delayed. Okay, so my LLM judge was actually helpful here. It found a little bug. So I've included this reasoning. You know, take it with a pinch of salt. It's an LLM, but sometimes it's useful. So it's like a good first thing to check. Cool. So it seems like it gave it a bad result here because it hallucinated and didn't give the right information back to the user. So something I could use now on my next experiment. Okay, so that's offline evals. And what you like, I'll go to a different project I have just to show you like a project with like loads of evals. So here I was doing an experiment with like a bunch of different models. So I was using like 4.0, Llama, I like fine-tuned the model. I was using some from Bedrock. So I'm gonna just select them all and compare them. And I can see like for all my different metrics, how they compare. So like I have like a retrieval metric. I have different ones for different LLM judges by different models. So I was like, I've heard there was a research study that said that some LLM judges prefer the responses from themselves. So you could bias the results. So just, you know, two different LLM judges judging the responses. So if they agree, that's like, you know, okay, probably the right answer. And then I can do the same over here in my data set results. So I can see the inputs, but I can see the outputs from like all the different models. So I could quickly look at them all here. Or the same as this. Do that in Weave. It's better if I zoom out. It's better on like a big display. Any questions on offline evals and using Weave to drill in? Okay. I know, has anyone tried using LLM judges? Anyone had been successful doing that? Yeah? Yeah? Do you want to give what were you using it for?
It's used for rack system for insurance company. And, yeah, obviously I don't know. I don't know about insurance at all, so I use LLM-as-a-Judge for automatic evaluation. That actually it shows like some pretty good correlation with human evaluation. So. Oh, nice. Okay, actually, I was going to touch on that. So did you test how well your LLM judge correlates? Yeah. Can you say a bit more about that? Oh, yeah. So actually, we did two kind of experiments. First one is just using LLM judge, and also the other one is using human experts evaluation. And we just calculate that correlation factor, and it shows like 0.7, or it's actually pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, okay, that's really interesting. Like, so that's the best case as well. Like, if you really want to validate that your LLM judge is useful or is reliable, first get two people to label the same data set with your Boolean pass-fail, and then test the correlation between those two people. It's going to be something like 0.7. It's not going to be 100% because interlabeler, there's always some difference. And then do the same with an LLM judge. And if it's around the same as the correlation between two people, like, okay, cool. Like, now we can hill climb on that. If it's like 50% or like much less, like probably focus on getting it to be aligned with the human. And we'll probably build something in Weave to help with that. Like, I think that's probably something we'll do. They like align this with my human annotator experience, because these kind of things are like, you found out about it, but like it's not. I wouldn't say it's commonly done. It's like best case scenario. People do that, but most people don't. Any other questions?
So, for example, if we use LLM to maybe categorize our manual observations of
Yeah.
the failure cases, and we have this nice analysis. How do you suggest to improve the system prompt based on that feedback? Like maybe use LLM?
Yeah. So yeah, you could ask an LLM based on this feedback. What do you suggest I change my prompt to? Whatever. But no, I mean, like the honest to God best scientific way of doing it is just throw in more criteria, all caps, more examples. Like if you look at Claude's system prompt, or like, you know, they're making billions on their system prompt right now. There it's one list of, they're just throwing in criteria, like it's not. It's just edit the prompt and experiment. But there's not really, I don't think there's like much science to it right now. Add more examples, add more criteria, all caps, do not do this. You know, and then smarter models. Just like if like those two, as far as like experimenting, are pretty, you can get pretty far with both of them.
Should we use the general model for LLM-as-a-Judge, or in some cases the LLM general model is maybe cannot align to the user's preference? And in my case, I think summary and domain expert will say that this summary is related as like score 9 by its action down. Then I gave like 10 or I guess like 20 efficient examples, but it doesn't really like align to the score. So in that case, we can consider making the fine-tuning model, but can we use fine-tuning model for LLM-as-a-Judge? Then like the judge itself is going to be really like fine-tuned. So should we keep using the general model, or should we keep the like in some cases it may happen to make a fine-tuning model for LLM-as-a-Judge?
Okay, I'll repeat the question just for everyone. The question was, I have a patent summary use case where I want to, given a patent, like summarize it. I've used experts on like 10, 20 examples, but the LLM judge is always generally disagrees with their summaries. So we decided we were going to fine tune a model to do this summary, and now we're looking for ways to grade the responses from that fine tune. Can we use the LLM judge that has been fine tuned to make these summaries as the judge, or should we use just like an off-the-shelf model? And like, you know, I think my cop-out answer is like, I'm not sure. Like, use both. It's this, like, that's such a research. Adrian's gotta, yep.
Yeah, well, there's a technique called judge alignment, right? So
yeah,
you first like grade a bunch of answers manually. You use several LLMs as judge, see which one sort of aligns most with the human grading, and then sort of use that to decide what your best model choice is.
Yeah, and actually, if you want to know the best thing I found for doing the judge alignment is NLTK annotator alignment. No, agreement, actually, NLTK agreement. So NLTK is like this old school, people probably know it, but it's an old school NLP library. And they have this agreement module. And you could just give it data from 2 different annotators, and it will tell you the agreement. So if you do want to do, like, I think we'll probably build something like this into Weave. But for the moment, if you want to like test the agreement between 2 annotators, this is a nice library to do that. You know, it's like 2 lines of code. And I think that the one that they recommend is this average AO annotator something. This is the best I could find. Observed agreement between 2 coders on all items. So yeah, you don't need to do the science. Like, the science has been done before on testing agreement between annotators. Like, just use this. Okay, and the final bit I'm going to show is online evaluations, and also this is like not that complicated But what is online evaluations? Online is, instead of having this like fixed 5 examples that I'm testing, I want to what if I could grade responses like as they come from users? So I could see like, yeah, my LLM judge is like hovering up here for like, is at 70% today. Yesterday it was at 60%. And it's useful for finding errors that are happening in production. And it's useful for, like seeing that no major changes are happening. But I wouldn't rely on it to help you to do that quick iteration. Just do it to like improve your evals. So improve your data set, finding failures in production. But then take those and use them in offline. But if you want to really get more examples, do online evals to find errors. And we've got like a way to do it in Weave. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to grab my system prompt, and I'm going to go into Weave, and I'm going to go to, oh no, it's the wrong project. No. Yeah. So I'm going to go to my Weave, I'm going to click monitors, and I'm going to create a monitor. And this is just a waste of my time, but this is the one I want. So I'm going to monitor anytime the agent.turn gets called. I want to sample, so I'm going to do, this is the sampling thing, by the way. If you, this is a sample production traces without an LLM judge. So if you only want to run an LLM judge against like 50% of your examples, you can do it like that. Okay, I'm going to say my judge, and then I'm going to use, what the hell? Okay, and I'm just going to paste my prompt in here. So that's my prompt. Here is the output, and I think you need to do, like, check our docs, inputs and outputs. So I'm going to do inputs, outputs. Where was I? Here, yes. Here is the input, and then here is the output. So that's that. Is that correct? Output. Yeah, output. So what this is going to do is every time there's a new request and it gets logged to Weave, we're going to run an LLM judge against that that trace, and it will grade it. So I'm going to go back to my code, and I'm going to run my agent. Maybe just to be safe, I'll start it again. Chat is not defined, and there's an error. Where did I do this? It looks like I mashed the keyboard somewhere. Yeah. So let's do our orders, our famous 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or request. Oh no. I think I introduced a bug when I changed the tool earlier on. I'm going to go back to my old broken bug. So now, once I've added that, every time a user makes a request, goes into Weave, gives it sends it to the LLM judge. LLM judge gives a judgment, and then it shows up in Weave in a new column. Oh, sorry about that. It's running my eval. This is kind of one of the annoying things about Marimo is because it's reactive, it sometimes runs your code without you wanting it to. So, word of warning. Okay, so that request has come in. It's going to start a response. I'm just going to go into Weave. Okay, so there's my error. Looks like I couldn't find the issue again. So I'm going to go into Weave, and hopefully, like by the time I get to Weave, it's graded my response. So yeah, okay, cool. So here's all my judgments. And if I refresh, yeah, nice. So there you go. I've like automatically graded this response as a failure, and it gave me, I'm gonna zoom in here. Looks like, yeah, the agent attempted to look up the order, but it didn't find it didn't call the right tool. So this is like a nice way for me to like find those errors now. Every time they happen in production, I can rely on my LLM judge to like surface them to me. So if I have some really important app in production, I could do something like in Weave, if you hold down Option and click, it adds a filter. So now I have like all of the failures that happened recently in Weave. So if I'm like the PM or whoever, I could be browsing these and looking at like what happened. So this is just a good way of like looking at production examples. And one thing you can do that I haven't shown yet is you can grab a response and put it in a data set in Weave. So you could do, where is that? So I can do, where is it gone? So I can click this and do add to data set. And then you can like build your data set in using Weave. So I have like a new example, a new row that I want to improve my data set with. And I can add it like that. So now I've got six examples, including the conversation history. So I'm gonna finish that. I could edit it here if I want, but I'm just gonna finish that. So now my data set is updated, and I'm gonna go to have a look at my data set here in Weave. And you have to, when you do this, like if you're using Weave to keep track of your data set, you need to use this to pull it, to like get it into your code. So this is actually the way to do it. So weave.ref, the name, .get. So if I go back to my code, in my evaluation, I'm gonna delete this part now, because I'm using Weave to track it. And I'm going to just put that, yeah, I think I'll just do that. So now I'm using this like updated data set. I'm gonna run that, and hopefully there's 6 examples here. The demo gods, pray to the demo gods that this works now. So yeah, that's like using, so what I've done is I've used my LLM judge, found an interesting example, added it to my data set, and now I'm testing it in my offline eval again. So you've got that like loop, finding new examples, updating your offline evals. Like if you get this far, you should be getting paid more than you're currently getting paid, and you've done really well. Like this is like a full end-to-end production system. Most teams are like not here yet, So this is like, we're building for teams that are trying to do this. We're trying to make it easy, but the AI industry is still figuring this stuff out. Like if you're not here yet, that's fine. looks like I got 6 out of 6 answers correct, which is surprising. So that's monitors, online evals. Is there anything else? Anyone have any questions on online evals? Or what we've done? Nice, well, half an hour of time. I mean, to be honest, that's kind of, maybe I'll do my best to like summarize what we've done, but I'll go back to my slides. So yeah, in the beginning, where is it gone? Yeah, in the beginning, I basically made the pitch that you should be trying to get to a point where you can do this, where you can like iterate a lot and experiment on different techniques, whether that's editing the prompt, editing the context, doing fine tuning, whatever. But we took a step back and we said, okay, well, how do we get there? And the way we got there was spending most of our time on defining what good looks like. And that was like, you know, most projects, that's the hard part. So to do that, you track traces in Weave, then add some notes on what good and bad examples look like what are the common failures. You then categorize those failures. Then you try automate the detection of those categories. And then you're every time you're iterating, you're just focusing on the most important category of error you're doing. And then to automate, all we did is we wrote those criteria down in a big judge prompt, one big judge prompt. And we use that for both online and offline evals, where offline is testing on a fixed set of data, and online is looking at new examples that are coming in and using my judge to find interesting failures. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Anyone have any questions? Yep.
So I think it's very difficult to evaluate some more complex things like deep research agent. And,
yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on that for automatic evaluation, like how to create data or how to evaluate? Like which metrics do you use?
In particular, you're talking about deep research agents?
Yes.
Okay, so the question is like deep research agents, which for those that don't know, it's like an agent that can look, it's like does a lot of steps. So looks up like 100 documents, can search the internet, finds everything, summarize everything. So these like really long running agents that are doing quite a hard task where, you know, like it's trying to source a bunch of different requests. So the only, so what I have here is there's a deep research bot. Yeah. So the only tip I can give is that we have this collection of notebooks specific on deep research. This is by a colleague. They're running a workshop in London. I was going to use their material, but I decided I'd build my own. But this is all about deep research. I can share the link. They do go from like a simple agent to doing a deep agent. I don't know if they spend time on evals, but bench eval. Yeah, so they do evals here. I'll just read it real quick. Evaluation. Okay, it looks like that's defined somewhere else. I just want to see what they're actually doing because I'm not really sure. Eval. And let's look. I think they pretty much just look at the prompt. Same thing. Score that surfaces normalized deep research metrics. Where's their prompt? Okay, so it looks like they have actually quite a complex 700 lines of evals here. But the part I wanted was just the prompt. Okay, I think what most people do is they break down the task. So they'll do, is it calling the right tools? Is like one set of problems that you'll see. And then like, is the summary useful? Like, is it formatted correctly? This kind of stuff. And then they'll just have like specific examples that what they want to do well on. Like it's probably the exact same flow that I talked about today. They'll find a specific example that they want to do well on, and they'll grade both steps of the agent and also the full agent's response. But like I think that's probably the best that people have today. I don't think there's different approaches for like long running deep like, you know, it depends on the task as well. Like deep research is a hard task because you've got summarization, you've got tool calls. Yeah, break it down, and like it. Yeah, and I'd say for a task like that, there probably is like public benchmarks. I'm not sure what those are, but there's probably specific benchmarks that people are using in the open source world to iterate on deep research bots.
One more question.
Yep.
So regarding agent evaluation, I think there's something called trajectory evaluation as well.
Yeah.
Do you have like any tools on that?
Hmm.
Or have you ever experienced with using trajectory evaluation?
Yeah, Adrian was building a library. I've been busting him about because we never released it. I'm like, Adrian, come on, get that agent trajectory evals library out. But yeah, so trajectory evals is where you look at the steps it took. In an example where an agent can take multiple steps and go in loads of different directions, and you try evaluate the series of steps that it took. And I think probably the best scenario is you do stuff like did it call, like how many tools did it call? Like is it efficient? How did it call the right tools? You know, and like depending on the task, your trajectory should be different. Like if it's a deep research bot, it should do 50 tool calls and you're happy with that. But yeah, in most examples, you want like 2 or 3 nice, clean tool calls. So people just like will look at the whole conversation, and that's the trajectory. But you know, not really made. That's still like not been figured out, I wouldn't say, right now. Or at least I don't know the answer. If you have any better answers, happy to hear. Anyone else have any questions? Yep.
For the offline evaluation, like in the beginning of the project, you don't have any like real data, and we are considering using synthetic data. And do you have any recommendations and advice?
Yeah. Did we? I'm just going to check something. We had a feature in the UI a while ago where you could go into a data set and add a row synthetically. I'm just going to see if it's there. No. Okay. Add row. No. So you could do something as dumb as this, like highlight the examples. No, I'm not going to be able to do it. Okay, so I could go into my Marimo. I could get these and just say like, going to ChatGPT and say like, based on these examples, like give me more examples. Give me more examples, please. And actually, it's like not bad. You know, I think you want to have the human expert look at them. It's better than nothing. It's just to zoom in, yeah. So now it's like just giving me a bunch more examples, and I'm pretty sure I actually used synthetic data to build this notebook. But yeah, the use of synthetic data is like not bad. Real data is better, but if you don't have nothing, but you only need 100 examples. So, like, you should, like, if you can, you should try and find a way to get 100 real examples. But if you can't, using synthetic data is good. Best if you already have a bit of, like, bootstrap it with a small amount first. That's better than starting with none, because then it's really synthetic. But again, the science is out, not been figured out yet with that, using LLMs to generate more data. Yeah.
So it's pretty straightforward to, for example, monitor if there were like cracked tool calls. But like, for example, there is a bit qualitative element to it. For example, if the parameters to those tool calls made any sense, or if the final response actually made any sense. So like, how do we add that qualitative part in this, for example, online with using the event monitors?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the question is like, how do we continue to use the qualitative responses alongside some of these more binary quantitative approaches? And I think the approach is just to continue to do the same amount of manual labeling as you were doing at the beginning later. So like, you probably should always have someone reading and writing why a given experiment didn't work. I don't have it on hand. But so our CEO or CTO there's a public benchmark called SWE-bench. SWE-bench. And it's got this like leaderboard. Is Sean still there? No. So like Sean was like our CTO was like #1 on this for a while. Verified, is it? These things change very quickly, I guess. But he was
60 something.
60 something. On verified or on
verified?
Is this it? No. I don't know. Seems to be gone. But anyway, so I wanted to find his Dropbox notes. But my point I was making is keeping a really good experiment log of all the things you've tried, all of the weird ways that the model's failing. Like, that's pretty, you should just always do that, I think. So always be looking at data, always be writing those qualitative notes. If not just to like do the mental exercise of describing why it's failing, that's quite a hard, I think when you start to write things down, it like triggers a different part of your brain and you become more analytical and you like, instead of having words like, oh, it's the vibes are not good, or it's like it's just failing, or it's bad. Like, you'll have more descriptive words. You'll say it's mentioning the weather too much or whatever. And I think the more precise you can get about your qualitative summaries, as you build that skill, or your domain expert builds that skill, I think that's where you can really, continuously do that. You just have to get better at describing why it's failing. But it's really hard, actually. I think that part of saying why it's failing precisely is like really, really difficult. Okay, anyone else have any questions? I know I've taken a few. Otherwise, I can give you 15 minutes. One more?
What would be a good practice for using more for evaluating multimodal input, like if the input prompt has images or voice or something?
Yeah, good practice. Literally the exact same. So look at images, write down what failed,
No, I mean using Weave to manage those.
Oh, yeah, cool. So Weave, I think Weave is probably one of the best tools for tracking multimodal data. Media, no, Weave. Yeah. Yeah, so our media docs have a bunch of examples. I wrote these docs, so I'm pretty happy with them. That you've got different, so all you do is change the return type of your function and it gets logged as media. And you can do this type annotations to tell Weave like, this is a HTML file, or this is an image, this is a video. And you get like, here's a cat with a pumpkin on its head. And it also shows up here. So yeah, just look and log them and write what worked and didn't. But you probably need to use like a LLM-as-a-Judge or something.
Yep.
Does that answer your question, or am I dodging the question?
Yes. And in case that say every time I want to test this image input for millions of time, and so every time the input is the same, but it keeps spending ingest, consuming ingest. So
in Weave or in your LLM?
VLM. So it's like the input may have some size, so make quite significant size.
Mm-hmm.
But if I keep using same input, then you will consume ingest.
Yeah.
So is there any thing like how to manage this input as an asset or something?
Yeah. Okay. So the question is, I'm doing quite an expensive task.
Yes.
In this case, which is like video or images.
Yes, I want to save the cost.
Yeah, and I want to just
Yep.
do it efficiently.
Yeah.
The best I've seen is caching responses. So save the responses, and we don't have many utilities in Weave to cache the responses, because in our case, most of the time you want to rerun the generation as well.
Yes.
How many suggestions? Probably keep the size of your data set manageable. Do small. So what Sean does with SweBench, which is really expensive. SweBench spins up a Docker container, writes a whole repo worth of code. It's like a very expensive task. And he was using O3 or something, some expensive model. He evaluated it on subtasks, 3-5 examples, used that to iterate, and then you'd only do one big eval run, weekly or every other day. So as you're iterating, just iterate on the 5 example set, and then when you want to, when you've done enough iterations, okay, I'm gonna test it on the big, data set now, but you know how much it costs. You're $20. Oh, okay, that's kind of I think the best people do. It's the same with when people were training models. I don't know if you have a small model you test, and then you do the big run later.
Right.
Good. Any more questions? Good question.
That might not be a question. It feels like automation is not necessarily the difficult part, but actually scaling the evaluation. It feels it's more difficult back in the traditional models training, because you have so many semantic evaluations. For example, if you're constantly changing the models, probably every 3 months with the new models and versions.
Mm-hmm.
Even with batch sizes, the model differs so much. But how can we scale these evaluations? Is it just inputting more eval params into Weave? And sometimes you might even have multi-step LLMs, which change the, not just the output from a single LLM, but the actual entire process end to end.
Yeah.
So
So the question is like, how do I scale my evals as the task complexity scales? So if I introduce multiple steps or more examples, how do I make sure I'm scaling my evals? It's a good question. Like, I guess in most cases you want to continue, you want like, probably want to keep your data set like, let's say 100 examples. But as you get, there's probably like 50 of them that it's getting, eventually it's getting like 100% correct at. Get rid of them. Like, you don't need them anymore. Every single iteration is already getting the 100%. So you can kind of like cull your data set every now and then. So as you get good, like those 50% aren't useful anymore. And then like as you add complexity to your app, I still think you want both test individual steps and test the whole system. So the individual steps, you might have like a retrieval metric for testing the retrieval, and then you might have like end-to-end like task completion eval somewhere else. And you just want to like, as you increase the, what's the word I had, where like, here's the job to be done thing. So like, yeah, as this changes and you're adding more complexity to your app, you just need to like make sure you're testing the quality of those things as well. But I think my like, if you're left with like one lesson, it's don't focus on like boiling and getting like the perfect evals. It's do just enough evals for your task. And just enough is like, you know, it's like, it's you want to do really manual at the beginning, and then you want to do like manual and online and offline and judges and correlation like later. And it kind of like, each step of complexity, it should be like business value. Like, or have you got a raise? have you got a colleague working with you? Like, it's related to how much is the business investing in this thing, is how complex should your solution be, and how complex should your eval be. Another way to put it is, like, if 5%, if this thing improved 5%, is it worth a week of my time? And like, that's very task specific, you know, and like business specific. But like most of the time, no, no, it's not worth a week of my time. Nobody cares if this thing is 5% better. But if people care enough that it's 1% better will give you $1 million in revenue, then you should do whatever you can. Like, then, like, that's you could spend weeks and it's still worth it. So it just depends on the usefulness of it. Okay. Thank you very much. どうもありがとうございます。